Today, November 3rd, 2023, was supposed to be the day that Dune Part 2 premiered. Because of the ongoing writer strike and the actors strike, it was determined kind of early on that Dune Part 2 moved its date. Now, did it move because of the writer strike? I think partially. But I also think that it moved because they need to continue to work on these special effects. My understanding is that Denis Villeneuve is very meticulous when it comes to planning. What he does is, and I know this directly from someone who worked on the production, he previses the entire film. So what does that mean? That means he makes the entire movie before he shoots the actors. So you can see, and the other filmmaker who does this also is Steven Spielberg, is known for this. He'll work with actually like proteges out of, USC Film School to basically, he makes the movie using paper and crude computer stuff. And you'll have like a picture of Timothée Chalamet and someone doing a temp voice. So they'll go through the script. So he can actually watch a version of the movie that's very crude. But what you're watching is actors, go through all the dialogue that's currently in the script. You're seeing crude animatics of the events that occur. And my guess is, based on everything that I've heard, that this film is far more ambitious, and they're using the strike as an opportunity to take more time with this movie, which I think is a good thing in the long run. Of course, they're not going to have the actors, in time to be able to promote it. Had it opened today on November 3rd, they will have the actors in March. By then, the strike, if they don't resolve the strike before then, we're talking about the death of an industry. But they're definitely going to wrap it up before the Oscars, which is in March. So I think this method of prevising, is such meticulous pre-planning, is something that's counter to what Marvel does, which is, well, we're going to do reshoots, we're going to test it, we're going to do more reshoots. And this ends up driving up the cost of the film. The reported budget for Dune Part 2 is $160 million, is my understanding. That's half of what the Marvels cost. Half. And why is that? Because as we had her on the show, Catherine Hardwicke, who was the director of the original Twilight movie, which is I would say the most watchable of the Twilight films, because it's actually taken seriously whenever you think of the Twilight movies. Okay, but Catherine Hardwicke's philosophy as a director is, she says, fix it in prep. And to those filmmakers out there, that is what you need to do, is prep. And then to shoot the movie is like, okay, now we just have to shoot the live action to fit the previs. You're just sort of popping things into place. So I think it's a good thing that it was moved. I'm a little bummed out that it's March. I mean, I actually think that this would be a great tentpole summer movie and could play for months. But actually, technically speaking, March is when the original Matrix movie opened. So that was something that Warner Brothers did, which was a gamble and proved to be huge. I mean, the Matrix, when it came out, no one was prepared for what the Matrix was.
And it sat there by itself,
right?
Raking in money.
For a long time. I saw it. I was in the San Francisco Bay Area for something. I was for some meeting about something, and I saw it up there, and I couldn't believe it. I just went in some random theater. I have time now to go to a movie. I'm going to go to this movie. Amazing. And just like, I think The Matrix, when everyone saw it, it was just a surprise. There was no big hype for that movie. And Keanu Reeves was not as respected back then as he was. I mean, he was the Bill and Ted guy. Keanu Reeves. Like, people didn't take him.
Well, he did Speed at that time, and he was an action star.
True,
at the time.
But look, Dune Part 2, I think it's good that they're moving it. Second thing I've heard is it's 3 hours. It's 3 hours. The other thing I've heard is it's a war film. And another thing that hasn't been reported is there's a very important character in this film we have not as yet seen, and that is Paul's sister, Aliyah. Aliyah was conceived before the death of Duke Leto. And of course, and what ends up happening, if you've read the book, these are spoilers, Okay, so I'm giving spoilers that are in the book. Okay, basically, Lady Jessica, takes the water of life to become their basically the matriarch of their tribe. Uh, the Fremen, and when she does this while she's pregnant, and it basically she gives birth to what they call Aaliyah an abomination, right? Because she becomes aware and intelligent as a fetus and then is born as a baby with the brain and intelligence of an adult. And so my understanding is that what I've heard from the production is that he's taken a different take on this. In the David Lynch version, 1984 Dune, Aaliyah's just cast, there's like a young child that plays Aaliyah, which is fine. But in this, apparently they're using some digital effect, and they're taking a different take on Aaliyah's character. I don't know how that'll tie into other sequels like Dune Messiah. We'll see. The other thing that I'm probably more excited about than anything is armies of sandworms attacking the Harkonnens and the Emperor, played by Christopher Walken. Also, we're introducing Florence Pugh as Princess Irulan, and she features prominently in the book. She wasn't in part one, but she features prominently in the book because there ends up being an arranged marriage, so Paul can take his place as emperor. In any case, this is all, if you've read the Dune books, if you've seen the David Lynch version, unfortunately with the David Lynch version, which if you've seen the 4K 3-hour cut is incredible, the David Lynch version takes almost the second half of the book and shows it in montage. So much happens. It's going to be really interesting to see how they resolve it. Also, you've got Gurney Halleck, played by Patrick Stewart in the David Lynch version, of course, here played by Josh Brolin. I think he's going to have a much more prominent role as a rogue warrior, reuniting with Paul. We saw that in the Dune Part 2 trailer. So I have big expectations for this. I wonder if they're going to pull it off. I'm concerned about Aaliyah, and it's just been announced that this was announced yesterday. There is a Dune series that's premiering in fall of 2024 on Max, and the title of it is called Dune Prophecy. It focuses on the Bene Gesserit, which are, of course, Jessica's part of the Bene Gesserit Sisterhood. It was originally called Dune Sisterhood, so now they've changed it to Dune Prophecy, and it deals with the manipulation of the bloodlines of the houses in the known galaxy. I don't know how you turn that story into a series. I feel like it's going to be very Game of Thrones in outer space, which is effectively what Dune is. If you've read the Dune books, it's like, this is Game of Thrones. And George R.R. Martin just sort of took elements of that, and instead of houses, it's kingdoms. And, you do have like House Lannister and all that stuff. So he was very influenced, as well as George Lucas. I mean, the Dune original book was probably the most influential piece of science fiction ever written, originally published in 1965. So, and my understanding is Frank Herbert was actually kind of upset when the original Star Wars came out in 1977 because it borrowed so heavily from the first Dune book. In any case,
let me ask you: is Denny involved in the TV series?
Yes, he is involved in the TV series because there are connections. So he is involved in it as a producer. It directly connects to events in Dune, and it's about. This is speculation. My speculation is that this is about how they spread this prophecy that an outsider will come and unite the Fremen. They spread this as a way to build an army, but it's all a lie, right? The Bene Gesserit spread this so that when it was originally supposed to be the pairing of Paul was supposed to be born a woman and mate with Feyd-Rautha to produce what would
You're
have been
totally spoiling the series.
no, this is in the books.
I know.
This is in the books, and it's mentioned briefly. It's in the movie too. But
Right.
Look, the book's been around since 1965.
I know.
The Dune movie came out in 1984.
I know. It's like we're spoiling the Bible, It's...
Yeah, you're spoiling the Bible. You've probably heard some stories from it. In any case, the pairing of what would have been a female version of Paul Atreides with Fade Routh that was supposed to be this child that would have united House Harkonnen and House Atreides into one great house that would have produced this person that would have come to Arrakis with this rumors of a Messiah that would unite them. Basically, it's basically they're like these PR agents kind of turning him into a god, a living god. That was the plan. Things didn't go according to plan and got messed up wildly. So I don't know if this series is going to be a prequel or what timeline it's set. I just know that it's called Dune Prophecy. So there you go. And I'm going to be there on day one, like everybody else. I cannot wait. So Alan, do you have any thoughts?
How will you be dressed?
Do you have any thoughts before we go to comments?
Yeah, I'm glad also that they pushed Dune off until next year. And the big reason why is hold on one second. The big reason why is the Marvels is now available on IMAX. I can watch it the way the Marvels was meant to be seen on a very large screen. Look, here I got my ticket to see the Marvels in IMAX. There's my seat. And if any of you want to come and join me in this large empty IMAX theater, you're more than welcome to do it. So thank you, Dune, for moving it so I can see the Marvels in IMAX.
Alan, we're going to talk about the Marvels next.
Okay. Oh, have I spoiled it? Is that the deal?
No, that's just, we got to go by the...
Why do you say what was the great thing about moving Dune? The great thing about moving Dune was the Marvels.
That's not a great thing. It's a terrible thing.